I've also worked with the Canadian federal government, and I did my military service with the US Coast Guard. In the course of my career, I've observed the industrial services providers come and go with the ebbs and flows of industry. And I've decided to make it my mission to assist those companies with diversifying their client base, and so that they can actively pursue government contracts and get some more work, move into other industries, and keep people employed and make money. I'll just pass things over to Dr. Tyre here and let him introduce himself.
Thanks, Corey. Yeah, I'm Dr. Troy Tyre. I'm the president of ProposalHelper. ProposalHelper is the parent company for BidExecs. As you can see by the brief bio up there, I've got a day or two in industry. I spent a day or two in the Marine Corps, so that's my service sector there, Corey. I run the gamut from proposals to business solutions to business development to an in-depth understanding of the federal government in the military, especially since I spent a day or two in the Marine Corps. But the real superstar is, and Corey, if you can click to the next slide, the real superstar is getting ready to announce herself now.
Oh my God, that's too much pressure. Thank you guys. My name is Rina Bhatia. I'm the CEO of BidExecs and ProposalHelper. ProposalHelper has been in business for over 12 years. We're getting ready to celebrate our 13th anniversary soon. And BidExecs is going to be 2 years old, but it's an offshoot of ProposalHelper. So it comes with a vast and deep experience and network of experts to help you navigate through federal, state, and local contracting, doing business with the large primes. That's what we help our companies do. And my background, I've been in the industry for almost 30 years now, and I have worked both US and international government contracts. So as we go through this webinar today, we are excited to share with you how you can diversify your business going from government to commercial into business, and how you can leverage BidExecs to help you get there. So with that, I'll hand it back over to you, Corey, to get through the material.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks so much, Reena. So a little bit about BidExecs. It's a globally connected team of business development, capture, and proposal experts supporting a diverse set of industries and businesses. I focus mostly on the industrial services. I like things that I can see and touch and offer my 20 years experience to. So we help you navigate doing business with the government for companies that have exhausted the free resources that are out there. For growth stage companies, so that's usually companies that have revenues of $5 million and higher, we augment your business development team, helping you find qualified leads, then helping with capture strategy and full proposal response as well. My pain point was spending a lot of time in private industry and in Fortune 500 companies where we would finish proposals at our level, and then I would end up having to rewrite the whole thing. So I wanted to go with a company that had a strong experience in proposal writing, and so that's why I've connected with the folks ProposalHelper and BidExecs so that we can bring proposal writing and business development to the next level. So this is my contact information. If any of you want to get a hold of me and talk about anything business development, government contracting, or just industrial services, I'm happy to talk to you. This is how you get a hold of me, both my phone number and my email address. Like Dr. Troy said at the beginning of the call, feel free to network in the share box and network amongst yourself, add your information, your website, and happy to see who's involved and what you got to offer. So these are the folks that I've geared this presentation for, and that's for industrial services providers. So more specifically, this is companies that have traditionally supplied services to refineries, tank farms, pipelines, oil and gas production facilities, power plants, dams, transmission facilities, fertilizer plants, chemical production, and agriculture and food processing facilities. So these are the companies that that I'm going to be mostly focusing on, the folks that provided services to these people. Some of the service examples. So this is when I look at recent solicitations, this is what I'm seeing a lot right now. I'm seeing a lot of demand for non-destructive examination, so NDE or NDT. Hydro excavation, or like we call it in the industry, hydrovacking. Tank cleaning and inspection. These are on large storage tanks, so crude storage tanks, water tanks, below ground storage tanks. Some pipeline rehabilitation. So, you know, the full gamut of pipelines, from local government water lines to fuel lines supplying airports. Industrial cleaning. So just that would be some high pressure cleaning. A lot of demand out there for vacuum trucks. And then probably the biggest one that I see continually right now is dredging. There's a lot of opportunities for dredging. You know, small things like community dock facilities all the way up to big ports, right out to the ship channel here in Houston. So these are some of the government customers that have industrial service needs. So probably the largest one, the Army Corps of Engineers. So like I said before, I'm seeing large RFPs and RFIs every year for dredging contracts. Hydro demolition. So dams are starting to become obsolete, and there's a push forward to remediate those waterways that the dams have normally been located on. So I've seen some hydro demolition for those. Again, non-destructive testing. So both concrete and physical infrastructure. So like bridges, seeing hydro excavation, like line locates with the Corps of Engineers. The Air Force has tank farms. They've got the pipelines that deliver the fuel to the tank farms. Non-destructive testing for aircraft inspections and infrastructure. The Army has non-destructive inspection needs, as well as I've seen quite a bit of specialty welding requirements for the Army. The Navy, high pressure water blasting. You know, with the ships going into dry dock, just doing all of the cleaning work, the tank cleanings, so cleaning the bilge, tank inspections and cleaning as well. Same with the Coast Guard, specialty welding, and a need for vacuum trucks. The unique thing about the Coast Guard is that there's a lot of small stations that are spread all across the US. So they're very, very engaged with the small businesses in these communities. You see a lot of smaller folks in mom and pop type operations that are winning good contracts with the Coast Guard just because they're located all over the place. There's lots of opportunity there. Across the whole DoD, there's a lot of opportunities. The Department of Energy and then the non-DoD agencies as well are going to have some needs. So there's other government customers that have industrial services needs. I've mentioned some of the needs before. State and local government have boiler inspection, pipeline pigging inspection and rehabilitation, and this would most likely be on water lines. Infrastructure inspections, so NDT and NDE again. Hydro excavation, dredging, again, vacuum trucks keeps coming up, and tank inspections and cleanings. We're also seeing a lot of opportunities out there right now for ports and airports. Again, tank inspections and cleaning, vacuum trucks, NDE and dredging. And I'll get Dr. Troy here to talk a little bit about how some of this work is being awarded right now.
Yeah, thanks, Corey. And before I jump into how you might get out to federal government work or state work, I'm assuming there are a lot of companies out there that might be just doing nothing but commercial. Is that correct, Corey?
Yes, sir.
All right. So kind of like your go ahead, Rina.
Sorry, I'm going to jump in here. And then while that's true that it's a lot of commercial companies doing this, while Corey, you were talking, I just typed into USA spending the word dredging, just to see how many contracts did the federal government, not the state, not the local, just the federal government, awarded for dredging in the last 2 years. 923 contracts worth over $7.8 billion were awarded just for dredging contracts across the DoD. The average contract size was about $7 million. So I just want to show, before we talk about how to do business with the government, the market is enormous, but it's also not something that anyone needs to be scared of. It's just understanding how to do business with the government. And that's what BidExecs is going to offer you and help you walk you through it. So with that, now I'm going to go back to you, Troy, and say, how does the government then do business with companies? How do these companies find out about opportunities?
Sure, Rina. And I kind of wanted to start with why go into federal contracting if your company is working just in the commercial sector. It's kind of like an investment portfolio. You want to diversify. If something slows down or breaks in one section, you want to always have other revenue streams. That can be commercial, it can be state, it can be federal, it can be Department of Defense, it can be Department of Homeland Security. It can cover the gamut. So that's kind of the reason on why to look to federal. And some of the ways that the federal government comes out in request support is a lot of large federal IDIQs, which are indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contracts. What that does is it awards you a contract to bid on task orders, and it limits the competitive pool just to that IDIQ awardee pool. So you're not competing against everybody and their brother again, just the companies that received an award on that IDIQ. So, and you might think, hey, everything I do is just commercial. Every base that operates for the Department of Defense does almost the same thing and requires the same services that you do for the commercial entities. A lot of times they call those base operations support services. That's what Corey was talking about. That's the fuel tanks. That's the fuel farms. On airfields, that's the airfield. That's the NDI techs that come out in NDI things. That's non-destructive testing or non-destructive inspection. That includes weapons departments that do NDI on different parts of the weapon systems. It includes NDIs on tanks and all kind of stuff. So what you do in the commercial sector is definitely relevant to almost, if not every branch of the military in the Department of Defense, as well as to the federal government, which covers Department of Energy, Department of Homeland Security. It covers the gamut. So large IDIQs are one way to do that. If you've got a socioeconomic credentials or categories for your company, and you want to try to drive a solicitation before it comes out to your benefit, so it's a set aside, then probably the best way to do that is through request for information or sources sought, which is basically the government's means of doing an industry survey. Who can support this requirement? And can I do a set aside for this? Because the government has got a set of quotas for how many of their overall contracts must be set aside for women-owned small businesses overall, hubs-owned small businesses, service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses. They got percentages and goals that they must hit. And the other thing there, the third bullet down, is request for proposals or request for quotes. These would be single contracts, vice an IDIQ, which is a large contract that allows you to bid on specific task orders. RFPs, RFQs will come out and can come out for a specific contract. This base needs this support, or this branch of the Department of Energy needs this support, and this is the contract for it. And there's also small purchases. Rina, anything you want to add on how the government awards work?
No, this covers the full gamut. And for those companies who are new to government contracting. Don't put it past you about the small purchases. You know, the government's buying limits in small purchases is not too small. It's not shabby at all. So don't scoff at that. And actually going after those small purchases gives you the ability to get that directed award. I'm super excited about the Infrastructure Improvement Act and Infrastructure Improvement Bill, which is going to start pumping more money and diversifying the supplier base. The administration has directed a lot of these agencies to give, so during COVID, the government lost 60% of its small business supplier base. And so this administration has mandated agencies to bring those numbers back up, award contracts to new suppliers. So all those things that you might have heard about, oh, it's difficult to do business with the government, they are awarded to the same companies they've always worked with. Well, this is now a new, I don't want to call it a new era, but a new opportunity for those of you who have been eyeing government contracting for some time and have stayed on the fence or on the sidelines. You really need to start getting into this. And as Corey mentioned, and Troy mentioned, your socioeconomic set-asides, minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, especially in the industrial services that Corey is talking about. If you are a woman-owned business, you really need to reach out and get into these government contracts. When we talk to the government suppliers, their number one complaint is when they put out the market surveys looking for companies, they don't hear from you. They don't hear from small minority-owned businesses, so they don't know you're out there. And therefore, they're not able to set aside more contracts for small businesses, but an amazing area to expand and grow into. And these are just some of, these 4 bullets are just very high level, few ways that you can get into government contracting.
All right, thanks, Rina. Corey, can you go to the next slide? There you go. And as Rina mentioned, you know, there's several different ways to go at this, and there are certain things that you need to do to work with the federal government. And the first thing I want to say kind of links this slide with the previous slide. A lot of companies say, why should I waste the time to submit for an RFI or sources sought? Government doesn't use those. They don't look at those. They do use those. And that helps them determine if they can have a set aside for specific contract. Let's say they want to do a woman-owned small business set aside, like Rina was just talking about. They send out a sources sought or a RFI, request for information, and maybe one woman-owned small business replies. Now they cannot set that aside for a woman-owned small business. If 2, 3, 4 submitted to the RFI, then now they know they've got enough interest in that socioeconomic category to make that a set aside. They might get more bids than that, they might get less bids than that, but that tells them that there's enough interest out there for them to make that a set aside. All right, talking set asides, there are all kind of different set asides, from Native American set asides to woman-owned small business to service disabled veteran-owned small business to veteran-owned small business to hub zones. You just got to have the right credentials, and they got to be formal credentials. For example, you used to be able to self-certify as a woman-owned small business. You cannot self-certify anymore. You need to have those credentials and be certified, and then you can go after those set-asides. So that's one of the things you need to do if you have those credentials for your company, is to get them formalized so that you can go after those set-asides. The next bullet says register for a DUNS number. I would say register and get your company registered in sam.gov, and that should give you the 3 things that you need for a government contract: a cage code. It should give you the DUNS number. The government is moving away from DUNS number, but that's going to be the linkage now, at least for now, for the UEI, the Unique Entity Identifier, which also comes through sam.gov. So definitely recommend you get registered in sam.gov. Your business development efforts. If you got a large BD department, then you might be able to go out and query all the different databases and tools that are out there to screen all the solicitations and vet them yourselves. I doubt it. There's a lot out there. There's millions and millions of opportunities out there, even just for the industrial services sector. There's more out there. You would spend your entire day just looking at available solicitations and opportunities. But they're out there. They're definitely out there. You need to watch for them. The best way to do it is probably to call Corey and let Corey go through and pre-vet them for you as part of a BD package. And what he can also do, and what you might want to do if you've not been in this sector before, is team up with different companies. And that's something BidExecs can do for you. Let's say you're a large business and you want to get into a certain area and it happens to be a small business set aside. We can pair you up with a small business team. Or if you're a small business and you don't think you can do everything in the solicitation yourself, you've got some gaps, which most companies do. We can help pair you up with teaming partners to fill those gaps. And you can go at it as a prime sub relationship or a JV, or you can actually form a JV mentor protege agreement as well. Large business, small business, things like that. The benefits to something like a JV partnership would be that any past performance, any experience the JV obtains is the experience for every member of the JV. So that helps you, especially a new company, grow your past performance. And then you can vet and look at solicitations all day long, but if you don't submit proposals, you'll never win one because you never submitted one. Rina, anything else on what they would need to do to work with the federal government?
No, this is a good exhaustive list, except for the last point where you must submit proposals. There are, as we have been talking about, opportunities for you to get the directed award. Now, you still have to submit a proposal, even for that. The government will want something from you in writing. Even if it's just a quote, right? A price quote, but you will have to submit a proposal, but it may not be as elaborate. And what most companies get, as Corey was saying, you end up spending hours and hours and hours on it, and then one person has to sit and redo the whole thing. You don't have to worry about that, especially if you're just getting started in the federal government. There are ways to navigate through it, and that's what BidExecs does, right? We help you navigate through how do you find the resources and bring those experts at the most cost-effective way to do it. And if you go to the next slide, Corey, Troy, if you don't mind, I'd like to jump in and take this a little for just to talk all our listeners through this. And this may seem very strange that BidExecs is saying this, but we say this because we consider it our responsibility to give you the right advice, right? Yes, we want you to become clients of ours. That's the ultimate goal of BidExecs. We are a for-profit company and we'd like for you to come to us. But before you do, there are many free resources available to companies, and you should utilize them before you spend any money on whether you hire BidExecs or you decide to do it with your own in-house staff. However you choose to do government contracting, we encourage you to contact your local small business office. The Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, the PTACs, they are in all the communities. There are veteran organizations, VBOC. We partner with most of these, Minority Business Development Agency, MBDAs. We partner with them. They use us to help their client base. But these are resources freely available to companies, and you should and must utilize them before you pay anyone to help you get into the government. We have seen horror stories of where companies have tried to start doing government business. They've paid someone thousands of dollars and all they got was a registration on sam.gov. Well, that's unfair to you. It puts you at a disadvantage to pay for things that you should not have to pay for. But where you do need help is once you have exhausted these free resources, who have very limited bandwidth, by the way. If you contact your local SBA rep, they'll talk to you about the basics of doing business, but you have to do everything yourself. And as you try to navigate through that process and you get tangled up, that's when you reach out to BidExecs and we can help you get through the hard, difficult steps that the SBA and PTACs are not going to do that for you. They're going to tell you go do it, but not how to do it or navigate through it. But there are some PTACs that are excellent in your communities, and do reach out to them. And then once you're ready, you have registered yourself, you have educated yourself, I should say. Doing business with the government is very different than doing business on the commercial side. It is lucrative. There are millions, billions of dollars to be had, but that also means that you have to do your due diligence and your homework. So don't walk in there thinking, hey, the minute I walk in and say I'm a government contractor or I'm registered in sam.gov, I'm going to get my first contract. It's not going to be that way. The government procurement timelines are long. They do take a long time to make decisions. But then when they do make the decision, the contract is 3 to 5 years long. So you have that stable long-term income revenue coming in. So once you have understood how the government works, what it does, and do reach out to us, especially if you're a service disabled veteran owned or a veteran owned company, please reach out to us. We'd be happy to give you some pro bono services, talk you through this, help you, guide you to say, go talk to this SBA office or go talk to that PTAC office. Please reach out to Corey with those questions. But once you have exhausted the free resources and you are truly ready to say, I'm ready to scale, but I want to work on my business, not in my business, and I don't want to have to hire all these people just sitting around, is when you bring in BidExecs. That's where we add the most value to your organization, to help you say, okay, now we're ready. Let's go find the business opportunities. What is best fit for your company? How are we going to capture it? And when you need that proposal support, our entire global team of experts is right there ready for you. Every agency that you target will also have their small business offices. But I have to say, over the pandemic, what we have noticed is the small business government offices are super active on LinkedIn. They're super active on social media. They're not taking phone calls and emails from the industry. It's just too many. They can't talk to that many people. And so it does become difficult to market to them, and we can give you some strategies to get around. And how do you then market to these agencies? BidExecs does provide that service as well. So I just wanted to touch point, Troy, if you want to add on to any of these resources.
You did a great job, ma'am. I'll just add that if you're near a military base, most of them have a small business office on the base. A lot of them have a VBOC on the base. You can go in and talk to these people and they can point you in the right direction, or they can help you themselves. So thanks. Corey, back over to you, sir.
Yes, and I found the same thing, just reaching out to the small business folks with the various agencies, that they're happy to connect with you on LinkedIn, and really they are there to expand the suppliers that they get to choose from. So really they want a lot of different suppliers. They want a lot of supplier diversity out there. So these people are there to help you out for sure. For sure. So how can we help you? Well, we can help get you registered to do business with the government. We can provide a business strategy where we think you can sell within government with your services. We can extend your team in finding and qualifying real business leads. So there's a lot of lead generation outfits out there that are just supplying a large quantity of leads. What we really do is focus in on what your goals are and what your company does. We are not just an AI crawler that searches around for opportunities. We have an entire research team, a DC-based research team that focuses on you and the types of opportunities that are best for your business growth. We want to work with you and strategize with you how to win the business. Like Dr. Tyre and Rina have shown, we've been in this industry for a long time. We know a lot of in and outs of it, and we certainly are happy to offer our strategy. And then when you're ready to actually bid on projects, we provide full proposal support to allow you to compete on the contract. I don't know if Rina or Dr. Troy have anything else that you'd like to add before we go to questions here. We've left quite a bit of time for questions because we were anticipating some really good questions from you folks.
Yeah, Corey, I don't have anything to add. I think that was a good rundown, at least at the high level. I was hoping to see some questions already in the question box, but I don't see any. I don't know if mine's just not picking them up, but I know there's some questions out there. Rena and I aren't that good.
Yes, I'm not seeing the question box either, so might have to rely on Rena for that one.
Yeah, one of the questions that commonly gets asked, Corey, and because you come from that side of the industry, you know, you and I have often discussed this. Oil prices get people in this industry quite busy, right? As soon as the oil prices go up, they're all busy trying to milk that window of opportunity, and then when the oil prices go down, there's a huge slump. And maybe that's something you'd like to touch on this, the ebbs and flows of this industry. And you know, you did touch on diversification. That's one of your goals as well. But talk about some of the horror stories that happen in the industry overall.
Yeah, and that was really, you know, thank you, Rena. That was really my reason for being here, is because I certainly didn't enjoy seeing people lose their livelihoods when the energy industry would start to slump, be it through oil prices or be it through government policy. When the slumps would come, I would see people lose their homes, lose their jobs. You know, in some cases there was suicides and alcoholism, and I absolutely hated seeing everything that came along with that. And I always tried to diversify my business unit so that my folks were working year round and making good money year round. And that's really what government contracting brings to the table. It's good, steady, year round work with good rates. They aren't necessarily the highest rates that you're going to see out there. They're very good rates. They're competitive rates. And I just encourage everybody to get involved with government contracting, expand your business. You know, those of us that have worked in the refining industry are used to working in very safety sensitive, environmentally conscious environments. And that's what you have with the government. It is a very safe environment to work in, a very regulated environment to work in, but that's nothing new to any of us that have worked in the industrial services industry. We're safe. We know how to follow the rules. We know how to adhere to the letter of the contract, and really working for the government is the same thing. Excellent.
Thanks, Corey. And I don't know, Antonio, if you had a question. You did start a dialogue with Corey. So if you'd like to submit that question, we'll get that answered. One of the other things, and Corey, what you touched on, I do want to pick up on that, the unfortunate turn of events in businesses' lives. COVID kind of did that to a lot of commercial companies. You know, when we saw everything suddenly shut down. Now I have to say, government contracting did not stop during COVID, and if nothing else, the spending, COVID-related spending went up. So there are a lot of new entrants in the market from this PPPE supplier side, right? The PPPE, yes, I think I got enough P's in there. The supplier side. So companies did get an opportunity to pivot, diversify, and start doing business with those micro purchases. They were not set up to do business with the government, but when the need arose and the suppliers were able to supply, they did take advantage of government contracting to stabilize their business. What we don't want is, we don't want companies to wait for another pandemic or another crisis to realize that they want to start diversifying their business. The Infrastructure Investment Act has certainly made a lot of industrial companies aware that their dollar is going to be spent on improving our infrastructure. But let's not wait. I mean, the money is already starting to flow. And if you're saying, well, I'll wait 2 years, or I'll wait to see how the money is spent and then jump on the ship, you might be a little too late. So don't do that to yourself. And don't manage or don't run your business by every crisis. We don't want you to think of government contracting as crisis management for your business. Rather, do it methodically, do it systematically, and diversify yourself now, so that when the money continues to flow, regardless of where the gas prices are going, regardless of where the industry is going, there is that stable, continuous need. There is always a need in the government for industrial services. And we encourage you to start looking at that now if you have not yet done that.
Yeah, thank you, Rina. That's a good point. And I noticed that the same thing is that when the oil prices are high, my phone doesn't ring as much with people that want to get involved with government contracting. When they're low, it's ringing off the hook. So the key really is to be prepared. Don't be that company that's getting into this too late. The right time to start is now. You would have a lot of people that we're calling to get set up, and they're missing great opportunities while they're doing that. This doesn't happen overnight. You need to start working on it now.
Yeah, Corey, I agree. And just remember that every military base is a city of its own. They've got power plants. They've got hydroelectric plants. They do all the same stuff that a city does, that industrial services support. So it's out there. Most of the time it's called base operations support services, but it's called a lot of different things. Comes out on IDIQs as well as single contracts, as well as some sole sources. And
that's where we add value as BidExecs. And as Troy said, he's served in the military. Majority of our team has come out of the military. They've either served or they're family members of military folks. So we understand the language. We understand how the base operations work. And if let's say Corey doesn't know the answer, he has an entire team behind him that he can tap into and ask that question to say, I have a company who's doing this, and how can we help them? So it's not one person trying to do everything. We bring a full team to help you grow your business. And I certainly hope that you will reach out. Corey, if you want to put up your contact information up on screen, there it is. We do want you to call Corey, email him. Again, it's you may just have a simple question of, hey, I heard you on the webinar and I have a question, or you're ready to start doing business with the government. And we certainly would like to help you do that.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, I'm not seeing Antonio, if you meant to submit a question, I'm still not seeing it, but I guess you can reach out to Corey directly after this webinar. And Corey, please reach out to the folks that are on here today, and hopefully we'll be able to help you guys. But if there's nothing else, closing remarks, Corey, Troy?
Hey, great.
No, ma'am, I'm good.
I just appreciate everybody for getting on the call and listening to us. We're pretty passionate about what we do, and I'd sure love to help out however I can, bring some more folks into this great industry. So thank you for all of you for attending, and thank you to Rina and Dr. Troy.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Corey.
Corey, for the opportunity. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.